Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Chopping It Up. I'm your host, Ryan, aka the Eagle. Cue the music striker, Eagle. He should have done it. If he didn't, Striker, you're losing at your job. One thing I want to point out, we got some Holy Cow t-shirts brought to you by Signature Esports because during his broadcast in iRacing, he's always like, holy cow. So he started making shirts. I got one of them. Few other people did. If you're interested, go over to Signature Esports on Facebook. You can message him there. That's probably the best way to get a hold of him if you don't have Discord. And he can get you hooked up. He prints them himself, makes them himself. He's a major sponsor of what we do here at Chop Shop. And, the rest is history. To me, I'm excited today because I have a guest that didn't even want to do this, but everybody pressured him into doing it. I got Marco Dell with me, one of the I guess we call you a 3-star lieutenant general admin here at Chop Shop. How's it going over there today, bud?
Pretty good. Hanging out. 3-star. Them stars don't mean nothing.
Them stars don't mean nothing. Obviously, you got the new baby, little John there. He's chilling with you today.
Oh yeah, we got a little scared this morning, but things are looking up now. He's in a pretty good mood today. Maybe he won't make this too hard on us.
Well, this is your first child, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so everything's new. How old is he?
He is actually 8 months today.
8 months, so he's creeping up on a year. What's what's some of the hurdles and stuff that you've learned, over the last 8 months when it comes to being a new dad?
Man, I've learned so much. Obviously, first off, you never realize how much you could love a kid until it's your own. Like, I've had nieces and nephews growing up, and it was no big deal. I mean, I loved them to death, but it was nothing like this. Like, this is the craziest, but the best thing that ever happened to me for sure.
It's funny that you said that because I have 5 children, obviously, and dude, I'll be honest, I hated kids growing up. I didn't want nothing to do with them. I didn't care about anybody else's kids. Like, just leave me out of it. And then, like you said, like, you never knew how much. Like, it brings it dad mode, the protection level to a level that you've never even as a human being experienced before. Um, and it'll scare the hell out of you. It'll make you cry. It'll make you go through all these emotions that you as a man didn't even know you had. Um, I mean, are you still navigating through all those emotions when it comes to different triumphs? When he starts walking, crawling, eating on his own, talking, etc.
I mean, like it's awesome because obviously you guys, most of anybody that knows, like with the schedule I work, I'm not here on a day-to-day basis. Like when I'm on night shift, I literally get to see him and his mom for 30, 45 minutes a day, and then I'll do that for 4 days and I won't see him hardly at all. So like that was just like the other day. He had RSV back 4 or 5 months ago when he was real little, and at that point they don't know how to breathe out of their mouth. So that's the scary part, is they can't breathe out of their mouth and they just sound super congested and like they're struggling to breathe. And the other day he freaked me out because he was in his playpen, and I, I I heard him like breathing really hard, like panting, and I was like, "What the hell is wrong with him?" And then I got to looking, and he was breathing out of his mouth, and I'm like, "That's pretty cool to see the the development for me, but just from not being there on a day-to-day basis."
Yeah, I don't know if you looked into it, but they have a lot of cool charts, especially for their vision as they develop. Because right now in the early baby stage, you got to hold them like right there in your face so they
Mm-hmm.
can like make you out. Then obviously as they get older, their vision starts taking off. So then they got weight charts and all this other shit that I'm not even familiar with anymore. Um, but dude, hey, if you ever need advice, I'm not saying I'm the greatest person to give advice for, but my wife was a lactation nurse, so she knows everything there is to know about kids. I mean, I'll feed you whatever I can.
Well,
Um,
that was the crazy part. Like when he was born, I didn't even realize. Like, I know it probably sounds stupid, but I thought when they were born, like I knew that obviously their eyes weren't like they couldn't see what we see as adults, but I thought like they could at least see from me to like 10 foot away. And it's crazy because like you talk to people who know more about babies than I do, and they're like, "Yeah, when he was first born, he could only see like a foot in front of his face, and then now like we'll be sitting in the living room, and I'll have the front door open with a screen door, and I'll see him. I'll be holding him in my lap just like this, and you'll see him look over my shoulder, be looking outside at the cars driving by. He loves for whatever reason he loves cars.
Oh, hey man, that's old ship off the old block because I know you're a car guy yourself.
Yeah,
I mean, you wouldn't be racing if you weren't, obviously. Um,
yeah.
it looks like he's already grabbed the wheel microphone, so he's going to be brought into the lifestyle sooner than most kids, which there's nothing wrong with that. Um, one of the things basic people don't know, because I mean, all you are is a voice on Discord, like the rest of us, is the basic things. How old are you? Where are you from? What do you do for a living?
I'm 27. I just turned 27 a week ago, a couple weeks ago now. I'm from Tuckahoe Plains, Tennessee. Um, After me and my wife got married and everything, we moved to Sweetwater. It's basically in between both of our families. Um, we live right off I-7, like not far off I-75. So anybody's coming through and wants to actually meet me in person, we live right off. We live not far off the interstate. So, um, and I work at a place called Primary Ingredient Products of America. We basically the biggest thing we make that most people know is high fructose corn syrup that goes in Pepsi Co products and Coca Cola products. Um, but the part I work in, we make more of the. I don't know if you know, Ryan, anything about like raising cattle, but we make the feed pellets that most people use to put weight on their beef cattle or whatever before they make beef out of them.
Huh, that's interesting because I used to haul like DDG and what is it? Cottonseed. They feed cottonseed to a lot of
Mm,
cows to beefing them up. And if you're into sensory stuff and you've never felt what cottonseed feels like, it's like silk. It's awesome. It feels so cool. Um, you did say that where you lived and if anybody wanted to meet you in person with an open door. Here's where the questions come that we were talking about earlier. You leaving that door open, inviting people over, you have a reputation in Shop as an asshole. I'm gonna plain Jane say it. Um, I've never had a problem with you. I've gotten along with you since day one. And I always joke around. It takes an asshole to know an asshole, type of thing, you know. And I don't. I clearly don't see you like that. I see you as a kind of person that just doesn't put up with BS. Why is it that there are people in our community that see see you as the villain, so to speak?
Honestly, I think the biggest reason is because I call it the way I see it. I don't care who it is, whether it's John or Striker or whoever. I mean, you've heard it before. Me and John get into it in a race before. Um, I call it the way I see it, and if you like it, you like it. If you don't, I don't really care. I ain't gonna lose no sleep over what anybody thinks about me or my family or anything like that. There's no point. But I don't. I honestly like. I mean, I understand people see me as the villain because I am just straight up. I'll tell you what I think. But to an extent, the way I race, like I race everybody in here with the utmost respect possible. Where straight up, if I wanted to be they don't know me being an asshole because I mean I can push you into every corner at any track and drive by you, but I don't because and that's just like Shocker gives me shit all the time because I haven't won anything and I've lost races in Chop every way possible at this point. But the thing is it doesn't bother me. I mean I can run here for the next 5 years and I may never win nothing, but I don't really care. It doesn't make me lose any sleep because at the end of the day, I'm trying to race people the way I want to be raced. I want to be able to race door to door with somebody for fifth at the end of a race. If I can race door to door with somebody for fifth place, that's fun to me. It's not like if I wanted to just go and kick everybody's ass, I would just run officials all the time. Because I mean, until I got the chop shop, I mean, any league I went to, I could win. This is the first place that's proposed a challenge to me, and I think it makes it harder now because I'm not getting to race as much. But when I do show up, like I'll go a month without driving a car, just like that auto club race a couple weeks ago in the trucks. Hadn't drove anything in a couple weeks. Showed up, finished second. Could have won the race if things would have went a little bit different. But that was fun to me though, because that's one of those where I didn't put no time into it, and I was still good enough to finish second with no practice.
Oh, I mean, I'm definitely not going to question your talent because it's clear. I look, me personally, when it comes to on the racetrack, I look up to you, because you're better than me. So I mean, cut and dry, you're better than me, no question about it. I might be better than you in some, in some different races. I might have a good day, you might have a bad day, but
Mm-hmm.
overall, you're 100 times better than me. And I think anybody would be stupid not to take your advice if you're willing to give it. And ladies and gentlemen, I just want to put this out there. Even if he plays the villain part, and he clearly doesn't care what part he plays in that aspect, Mark is the kind of person, if you ask him a question and you're genuine about it, he's going to give you a genuine answer. He's not going to bullshit you unless you piss him off. Then he's just not. He might say he's genuine and feed you a bunch of honky. That's just Odell's
Nah,
a good dude.
that probably ain't gonna happen. If I don't like you, you're gonna know pretty well. I don't really care for you.
Um, let's backtrack a little bit. How did you even get involved with John and Straker and the Chop Shop crew?
Um, so there was a series. I guess it's been a couple years ago now. MRL. Jerry was in it. That's where I met Jerry, and I was racing with Jerry and another guy that was like the owner of MRL, which was the old Gen 6, like the 2013 Gen 6 car. And Jerry invited me over here, and I remember my first start. They were still running, like it was a Cup Series at Homestead, and they were still running. They were running like 75% fuel with 2 times tire wear and all kinds of crazy shit. I don't even know why they were doing that because now we run, I mean, 225 laps at Iowa. Holy shit. Like, that's a long
Right.
race. That
Yeah.
is a long race. But this, joining this league is just, it's a hidden blessing for me just by the relationships I've built. No matter whether, because, like, I got, obviously, you know this. I don't care about how many stars after my name. If I got 3 stars, cool. If I got no stars, I don't care. Because I'm still going to show up, and when I'm here, I'm still going to be the same guy. I'm the same guy here as the guy I am when I don't have this headset on or in front of this camera. That's just the way I've always been. Um, because to me, there's no point in me putting on a front for anyone. Like, you want to think I'm an asshole? Go ahead. Like I said, it doesn't hurt my feelings, but I would like to sit down with someone who thinks I am an asshole and them actually take like 10 minutes to talk to me and then see if they still think I'm an asshole. Because besides for like the guys, except for the day to day crew, which you know who they are, nobody else, I never talk to anybody else. Because on race day, I don't want to listen to a bunch of jibber jabber. I'll hop in there and listen to the drivers' meeting, and then I go to a room where it's quiet and just 5 or 6 of us and run the race and have fun. If I wreck on lap 30, I wreck on lap 30. If I finish second, awesome. If I win, awesome. It doesn't. To me, it's a little different than what it used to be because used to, I had the mindset of all I want to do is win. All I care about is winning. Now I have the mindset of all I care about is this league succeeding. And for me, when I am able to race, when when he is old enough to sit here and do this, I want Chop Shop to still be here and be a thing for him to be able to do 10 years from now. if he's driving that early.
Well, and
But
I think that's, I've as we all know, John's in the middle of working on a new rig kind of setup. And Tyler, his kid's been racing some road, and I would love to see Tyler get into some oval stuff because I would love to see both Hammonds race each other. I think that'd be awesome. Just, and I'm a bystander, man. Like I'm not ganging anything, but like I get to enjoy it. And I agree with you 100%. And that's coming into Chop Shop myself. Obviously, I guess the best way to put it is you could say I bought my way into the position that I'm in at first. I think over time, since people's got to know me and
over
seen what
time,
I
you've learned it.
right, I think everybody's like, okay, yeah, Ryan does quite a bit, and the reason I bring all this up is because you, my friend, I know what you do, I know what you've done, even though you might not do as much as you did then, but nobody else does, which is the weird thing. So I know you've heard me shout you out as much as I possibly can because, dude, I think I probably carry as much weight as you did or do now. But before that, when I was first in here, like, dude, you did a lot, man. Um, just to clarify that, if you would, tell everybody exactly what you were doing for Chop Shop, just so they understand, like, how much work you were actually doing to make it what it is today.
Um, Honestly, in the grand scheme of things, I wasn't doing much. I was just John. Me and John, we both work weird schedules. Some weeks it's hard for him to do points. Some weeks it's hard for me to do points. But I was I was working 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. and I was I was waking up at 1 o'clock in the afternoon to get points done the next day or the day after the reviews were done for the sessions for the series. So people didn't have to worry about where they stood in points because that's just like me. Like I want to race tonight, but I have prior obligations that I have to attend to. I would love to be able to race tonight, but this little guy comes first now, and so does his mom, and I can't. It's so much different because before I would let his mom go and do whatever she wanted, and I would sit here and race, and I never felt bad at all about it. But with the way the shift work works is like it's like when I am off, I don't want to send him and her somewhere because like if it wasn't for her, number one, I wouldn't be allowed to do this at all. Because I mean, if it was just me and him, I wouldn't have time for it. And number two, like she does so much when I am working. The least I can do is try to help her with him when I am off work. And I do get to race some. I mean, I don't get to race as much as I want, but I'm sure as he gets older, it'll get a little bit better. But in terms of what I done, I just basically helped John and Striker with all the day to day stuff. Um, the only thing I really do anymore is I take care of the website. I update the website every couple weeks to try to keep. And I built the website from the ground up. Everything you see on there was built by me. Um, yeah, what was I talking about? What I do? What I done?
The website.
Oh, the website. Um, the website though, like that was something that I enjoyed making the website. I remember I made it on the what we're currently using, and we started second guessing because we paid to publish the website, and like we had to wait. It was like 5 or 6 days before it ever got published, and like me, John, and Stryker was trying to decide, do I need to go build this somewhere else? Um, and luckily for me, it worked out on Webador. It's super easy. It's very user friendly. It's not hard for me. I can literally hop on there and get the website updated in an hour every 2 weeks. Um, the other thing I really did is when we first started the TikTok, I made the TikTok and I was uploading the videos on TikTok for a while and helped everybody get their OBS settings sorted for the stream when we went to our own broadcasting. The other thing besides that was just day to day stuff like building schedules, um, deciding what car and series and what day we're going to run on, whether we're going to make any changes to anything. And I don't really have that involvement anymore. I think that's more of everybody but me because I don't really have the. I'm not here day to day like I was, so the only decisions I'm really involved on are like the big ones where Striker or John will reach out to me and be like, "Hey, we need your input on this," and I'll give them my input and we go from there basically.
Do do you? I mean, do you miss not being as active as you once were?
Absolutely. I mean, I miss not getting to. The thing I miss the most, and I didn't realize how much I enjoyed it because, and you know this, and anyone, if you practice for these races, there's nothing more frustrating than practicing for a race and then getting wrecked early in that race by someone who you know who didn't practice. And that's a big problem you have in anywhere. But that's the thing is like I would spend time each and every week getting ready for the races just to get wrecked by someone who didn't practice because they didn't know what the car was going to do. And for a while, I was happy I wasn't racing as much because it was just me wasting time. You can't have that, buddy.
He's like, "Come on, give it to me. Let me
Yeah,
play with it. I could talk into it.
that's what he wants to do is play with a lot. Um,
At least it doesn't light up like this one. My little one just wants to chew on it."
um, I don't know. I but now that I'm not able to be here as much, I miss the day to day stuff. Like I miss the just 2 a.m. shooting the shit, talking about what we're gonna do next season, what changes we're gonna make, um, whether the races need to be longer or shorter. Like for my personal opinion, like that Iowa race, I know it's less than a mile track, but 225 laps at Iowa is a long race.
It was.
And I remember a race last year. I think they ran um, 60 or 70 laps at Sonoma in the Gen 4 car, and I was like, and I told them before they went into it, I was like, that's way too long at Sonoma. Like, if they're, I think the rule is we try to run at least 200 to 225 miles. 225 laps at Iowa, with the way everything's set up, is a long time. Oh, okay, play with it, fine.
It ain't gonna hurt anything.
Um, so I mean, I still put my input on things that catch my eye. Um, but in terms of like the day to day stuff, like I was a small part of when you started doing the podcast, and honestly, I don't think any of us really thought it was going. I mean, I knew there was potential for it to become as successful as it is, and I'm very happy that it's having the success that it is because it's growing. It's not just growing you individually as a podcast host or a personality. It's growing the Chop Shop brand. Because I mean, the end goal for all of this is to have this a self-oiled machine where all we have to do is the small day-to-day stuff.
Yeah, and one of the things, we're almost like the league babysitters, I guess, is the best way to put it. Um, one of the things I trying to word this the right way is, like you said, 3 stars, 2 star, 1 star, no stars. It doesn't matter to you at all, and that's perfectly fine. It doesn't. It kind of matters to me. It kind of doesn't. Whatever. But in the grand scheme of things, when it comes to running a community like this, I mean, obviously, there's a lot of work for John. There's a lot of work for Stryker. There's a lot of work for me, you, everybody involved. There's what I like to call there's unsung heroes when it comes to this. I think you're publicly known as one, so I won't call you an unsung hero, but like Retchen. Retchen does so much when it comes to designing cars, banners, and he does them like that. I mean, if I could get a hold of him right now and say, hey, man, I need a new logo for whatever, no, he'll ask me like, what do you want it to look like? What's the design idea you're looking for? And he'll have it done within, a day at the latest. Um, that being said, especially for you, and I don't know if you know this, I'm sure you do, but like your opinion is deeply sought after in a lot of John and Stryker's decisions. I would say if there's John and Stryker's 1, 2, if there was a third, it would definitely be you. Do you feel like that's the persona that you have here?
I feel like when I was here more, probably so. Now, I would say no. I mean, I don't know because I'm not here day to day. Like, I don't hear a lot of the closed door conversations that I used to hear because there is so much stuff that goes on here that no one knows about. There are so many conversations about what we should do in this situation, that situation, that the drivers here they never hear about. Like literally, they never hear about. They don't know it's happening until we make an announcement. Um, and that's a good thing. But in terms of the totem pole, no, I don't I don't really know because I've not really thought about it. But in my mind, I would say no. I'm not really like third anymore. I'd say I'm more like fourth or fifth. I would say you've really stepped up while I've been gone. Retchin stepped up and is doing a lot. But Retchin's always done a lot. But Retchin's always been quiet. But I've noticed now that I've been back a little bit more, like I'll see Retchin in a chat more occasionally, and that's awesome. So Retchin's really stepped up. You've stepped up. Church has stepped up. All the admins have stepped up. Um, it it makes me feel good that my opinion is sought after, but at the end of the day, my opinion is just an opinion. It doesn't mean it's right or wrong.
Yeah, but even with that being said, your opinion is a priority. Expect and like you said, John Stryker might reach out to you out of the blue and say, "Hey, we need your input." So they might, obviously they might not include you in the small stuff that doesn't matter much. They might get a few admins' opinions and then just kind of go off from there. But I know the major decisions that will have a crucial impact are always ran by you too. Um, and that's the role you play. It's you put yourself there. It is what it is. I mean, you're damn good at what you do. So I mean, don't ever don't ever you're a humble person in broad spectrum. So I don't want anybody to ever play it down. And I know when you're in a room and you speak up, that people listen, whether or not they think you're the villain or not. They're like, okay. At the end of the day, if it were to ever come to this person versus Odell, they're going to tell that person like, see you, bro. I mean, it was nice having you, type of thing. I mean, that's how valuable you are. I think I can. I think I've been here long enough. I kind of know the day to day stuff. I'm confident I could say that for John or Stryker. Like they're going to choose somebody that's been there repeatedly, that's reliable repeatedly, over somebody that just wants to get in here and bitch and complain. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's one thing that I've noticed that's happening a little more than it used to is the I've heard it a few times in a couple races I've ran since he's been born. The calling out drivers in chat. Don't do that shit. Don't. Like we don't call you out for being an idiot, so don't call out other people for making a mistake. Like
And it
what was
happens
that?
with this large of a community. Like when you have a 40-car field, it's gonna be a lot of accidents. We got drivers at a 5,000 I rating down to a 700 I rating.
Yeah. Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. You piss me off, and I think you done something stupid. I might say something in the Discord where nobody can hear me, but don't say that in race chat. And
Right.
also, if you have a problem, wait the day. Like I don't care if Ryan, if I wreck Ryan, Ryan can be as pissed as he wants. Don't say anything until after the 24-hour grace period. Because after 24 hours, after you've calmed down and you've thought about what happened, you're going to think of a way to spin it and put it on yourself because it isn't. I don't care. Ryan can dive bomb turn three and wreck me, but if you after 24 hours after you've thought about it, you're going to have a different outlook other than just Ryan dive bomb me and wreck me. I could have went up the track and ran a different lane and gave Ryan room. I knew Ryan was faster. That's something I will say this. One thing that I've really noticed that's changed in Chop Shop as a whole from when I first got here and I was just a driver, the lack of respect on the racetrack is bonkers. Like it's literally just like real NASCAR. It's like we went from the early 2000s where if you catch up to me and you're faster than me, I'm gonna let you go and I'm gonna try to learn from you. To you catch up to me, I'm gonna race your fucking dick off and make you either burn up your tires or wreck trying to pass me. And to me, it doesn't make sense. I'm sure it does to some people because track position is very important. But if you're faster than the guy, you're eventually going to pass him.
Well, and I think a lot of that's learning, obviously. And before we get into that, I do want to say Odell has yelled at me. I wouldn't say yelled, but he has gotten on my ass for doing dumb stuff. There was, I think, a sprint car deal, and you're like, you just came out. You're like, Ryan, hold your brakes. You didn't hold your damn brakes. Hold your damn brakes.
Oh
And
yeah,
that was the extent of the conversation. That was it. I wasn't mad. I was probably a little frustrated. He called me out about it, but at the end of the day, I was wrong. He was right. It is what it is, and you move forward. You move on. And I think that's where a lot of people's problem with you is that they look at it like you don't like that person individually when all you're doing is listen, there's behind criticism is a learning experience, and he wouldn't, Odell, anybody wouldn't say hold your brakes or don't do this, don't do that if those persons hadn't done that shit themselves while they were in the same process of learning and becoming as good as they are now. I think everybody learns from their own mistakes and they try to educate others when they do that. He is grumpy, isn't he?
yeah. He's a little grumpy boy.
Um so obviously the politics are the politics. It is what it is. Moving forward, what I know a lot of people wonder, like, since you aren't around as often, obviously you have a kid, a family to take care of. That's, I always say, like, my family first, Chop Shop's like my second family, their second type of thing. That's how I look at things because, like you said, you do build good relationships that I believe will last a long time. And, I mean, minus, just taking care of the baby, taking care of the wife. What are you doing outside of Chop Shop?
Um, Gaming wise, I've got some friends from work that I play Call of Duty with, and I've got a friend that I've played Call of Duty with for 10 years. That if I'm not racing, I'm because my mindset is different than it was 2 or 3 years ago. Like 2 or 3 years ago, I'd run a lot of officials and just wreck. You know how officials go.
Yeah.
It's just it's like a respect. Everybody just burns their tires up and goes on about their day. Um, but honestly, I just chill. Like there's a lot of times I'll just hop in Discord and I won't do anything. I won't race it. I won't race if like I won't like just like Striker last year. Um, when congrats to him, obviously, because I don't think I've actually said it. Congrats on his Cup championship last season.
Which he said was thanks to you.
Do what?
Which he did come out and say majority of it was because of you.
What the heck? I can't hear you, man.
I mute
What
you.
now? Yeah, no, I can
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. What?
No. What I was saying is, you congratulate Striker, and he did shout you out, saying, you know, Odell was a major factor because you practiced with him so much leading up to that event.
Yeah, I honestly don't even think I practiced with him that much. We just did, me, him, and Rayburn did a 40 lap run at Vegas, and for some reason, strikers will outrun me almost every race, but I have better tire wear than him, and I freaking teach him how to win the race for some damn reason. I still practice with him. Probably because I just like Striker. Striker and John. They're both awesome, but um, me and Striker will. Me and Striker we'll play baseball. We'll play baseball against each other on Xbox. Me and Strikers played all kinds of different stuff, but Striker. I love practicing with Striker because on the short run or on like a medium run, Striker has more raw speed than me. Where I can make up my time on Striker is on the long run, and that's what I think that's the reason me and him practicing and testing together actually work is because um, I learned from him on the short run how hard I can push the car, and then he'll figure out some way to save tires, and I'll be running a like I remember the old tire model. I'd be running a 157, and he'd be running a 236 or whatever it is, and somehow his tire he Striker is good enough to where he can go, but he can also save his tires, and he's one of the few guys that I know can send it and then still take care of his tires. So even if I do get two Striker, it's not like just I blow by him. Like there's still some. It's still tough to pass him because he saves just enough tires to be able to defend his spot once you get to him. That's why he's the Cup champion. I'm really glad he finally got one. I was tired of listening to him complain about getting second in a championship.
You know, and you said earlier that your mindset's changed, from the beginning till now. I want to point this out, and you probably won't like this, and the other person probably won't. But one of the people that you get absolutely annoyed with is Bryant Lucas. Do you think that the reason for it is because there's a maturity gap?
Yeah, that's most of it. To me, like probably the reason I have the asshole I'm looked at as an asshole is because like if you have I mean I talk, you know that I talk, but when I talk I'm saying something with meaning behind it. I don't just 2 plus 2 equals 5 or some stupid crap like that. Like that's just not me. I don't like to just hear my head roar, and really I don't like listening to anybody else just talk to hear their head roar. And I don't have a problem with Bryant. Um, I just wish he would be a little quieter sometimes and just join in the conversation that's happening instead of talking about the price of eggs in China.
Yeah, and I think another person I'd like to bring up is Corey Bodenot, because I would put him in that same boat, but I think he's come farther along than when I first met him. Obviously, like we chewed him out for like 2 hours one night straight, and the kid just took the beating. And I think I'm just glad some of it registered. I knew all of it wasn't, but I mean, I think he stepped up his game RCing. I think he's not as annoying. I think he can be at times, but I don't think he is as annoying. And obviously, going back to what I said, I think there's a huge maturity gap. The base age in Chop Shop is like 35 to 40 years old, which is crazy. So, I mean, even you're not even in the base age range, you're under it. But as a 27-year-old, your maturity's already there, to where, Brian's, I think he's 21, and he's not there yet. I mean, I don't want to listen about cocks and butts all damn day. Like I don't care to. I'm here to. I rather learn something from somebody about OBS or about their life. I've had great conversations with Stryker. I didn't know John was an Army Ranger, and me and him are getting into it. And I sit back and I think about it, I'm like, this cat could probably kill me in real life and not even think twice about it. And I said that to John, and he's like, oh man, I'm a lover. I'm not a fighter anymore. I'm like, yeah, okay. Like you could still kill me, 10 miles away, and I wouldn't even know it walking out my door.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, everybody comes from every different walks of life. especially with you and John have very similar work schedules, just so people understand when, everybody has good days, everybody has bad days. You might come in here just wanting to relax and shoot the shit with people, and you might just been having a bad day, and you might come off like that. Just so everybody knows, explain what your work schedule actually looks like.
So basically, um, besides for the 7 days off, which is what I'm on right now, we basically, I mean, we only work 15 days out of the month, but for 3 weeks, we work 4 nights, and then we're off 3 days, and then we work 3 days off a day, and then go back and work 3 nights, off 3 days, and then work 4 days, and then supposed to be off 7, but you're never off 7. They're always got something going on at work that doesn't allow you to be off 7. But and I think I think one difference between my maturity level and like other guys, because I was 21 too, but I think I was more mature than most 21-year-old because I lost my dad at such a young age. So when I lost my dad, anybody that's experienced it, if you don't have any brothers, I'm the only child. Lost my dad at a young age, and then after that, I felt like I had to step up and be the man of the house. And you do a lot of growing up very quickly. Um, like everybody talks about all the partying and doing all the dumb shit. Um, I mean, don't get me wrong, I done dumb shit, but the party scene was never my thing. Um, I just I just think that I don't really know how to word it, but Brian, I don't really have a problem with, other than just sometimes I just wish he'd hush and be quiet and let other people talk. Corey, I never. It was never that I really found Corey annoying. It was that we had Corey here to do a job for us, which is race control, and I think he does better now than what he did. But at that point of that night where we lectured him for basically 2.5 hours, um, he wasn't doing it because in the grand scheme of things, we want, and I think I'm speaking for Striker and John here, we want the race control to be able to run the show. We want them to be able to do everything. If there's the biggest beef with Corey, and it's happened a couple different occasions, was like I remember Texas last year in the Cup Series. There was a massive wreck going in on the front stretch. Cars wrecked from the last part of the quad oval all the way to the center of turn one. And there's still cars wrecking, and there's not a yellow out until somebody, I think Cam was still racing. And Cam hit a guy, it broke his right front, and I was behind them, and I went to go to the high side, and a caution didn't come out till after I got hit and into the outside wall. And then now that I'm on the outside wall at 100 mile an hour, then the caution iracing throws the caution. I think the goal for the race control is to be able to allow that guy, is to be like NASCAR is. There's a, like you, me and you wreck going down the front stretch, and there's going to be a caution come out so we don't get 10 cars involved in what should have been a 2 or 3 car wreck.
Right.
And that's where, I mean, we run it now based off iRacing throws all the cautions, which is great. But I think we would all love it if we could open it up to the race control. And if me and you wreck, he's going to throw that caution, unless we're on the grass or way out of the way. He's going to throw the caution to limit the damage to other people, because nobody wants to be caught up in a wreck that happened 10 seconds ago.
Right. And I think the hard part of that is it's always, those decisions are always going to be criticized, because it's going to, either way, people aren't going to benefit from it and people are going to benefit from it. But that doesn't matter even if iRacing throws it. Um, and I mean, like our Daytona race, that 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 race was, I felt bad for Penguin, um, because that is, I didn't understand half of why iRacing didn't throw yellows, and I was over it. I didn't care. It was what it was. But it's hard. It's hard to, you know how John is. He's not just he doesn't just trust anybody, and
Mm-mm.
rightfully so. This is his baby. Stryker doesn't just trust anybody, and they're two different people, completely different people. One analyzes every ounce of data there is, and one bases it off of. John is does do a lot of emotional decisions sometimes in the heat of the moment, but they don't. He thinks about it later on, so he doesn't just jump to conclusions. So I think John's more like it, if I had to explain the two to anybody watching this, I would say you got Stryker as the book smart guy, and you got John as the street smart guy, in a sense. Not taken away from either one of them because they're both very intelligent people. But getting back on the RC topic is when it comes to dirt, Corey knows his shit. No
Mm-hmm.
question about it. He's extremely intelligent. And I think his reputation has gotten in the way of people listening to valuable information that he actually has.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, that's just how the world works. If I'm labeled as a liar and I come out and I say something truthful, no one's going to believe it because my reputation is of a liar.
Mm-hmm.
So, Corey, if you're watching this, keep that in mind. Bryant, anybody else that ever gets questioned. Also, your persona is a villain, but at the same instance, like it's critical criticism is the best way I would put it, that there is a lesson to be learned behind Mark saying something to you 9 times out of 10. I'm obviously comfortable enough with you. I can cuss you out and we can laugh about it, and vice versa. But that's a relationship that you and I've both cultivated, and we figured out. You know my personality. I know your personality. You know, even if you were mad at me and you got on my ass, and even if you're like, maybe I was a little hard on him, I'm going to get over it anyways. I'm not going to cry about it, and bygones be bygones. And I think everybody needs to understand that about you. You don't hold on to issues unless those issues are a habit. You know, I've wrecked you. I know I've wrecked you. Didn't mean to, but if I were to do that week in and week out, then we're going to have a problem, or you're going to have a problem with me, I guess is the best way to put it.
Well, it's not really, for me, it's not really just about wrecking people. It's about making dumb decisions that just make no sense. That's the nicest way I can put it. Like, if you're putting yourself 3 wide on lap 10 of a 200 lap race, like, what are you doing? Like, I understand you're trying to work your way forward, but you're not setting yourself up for any success. And I think that's probably where the villain persona comes from, is because if you do something stupid, like, I've seen people do something stupid, and I've never even told them it was stupid because they're never in Discord or never around. Because it's very rare that I'm going to hop in unless it's just something absolutely ridiculous. I'm not going to say anything in race chat, and I'm not, because, like I said, don't call drivers out in race chat. If they're in the Discord channel with you and they do something dumb, y'all can hash it out. But don't do it where everybody can hear you, because it doesn't. What you say just doesn't affect you. It affects everybody here because it affects our relationship with Chop Shop's partners, with all of us. And honestly, it's been so long since I've been here, I forgot I had the villain persona because I've not been here. But if I'm honest, I would say I drive everybody pretty dang nice. Like, I don't really give anybody a heck. I let people go, but I try to race, and I try to race clean. I make mistakes just like everybody else, but when I do make a mistake, I'm going to apologize for it, and I'm going to move forward, and you'll either accept it or you don't. And from that point, that's on you. If I
Right.
apologize for me making a mistake, that's on that person, not me. Because all you can do is apologize and let bygones be bygones. Stuff happens. Stuff goes
So,
wrong.
so would you say that is your biggest deal with calling drivers out in race chat is the effect that it has on on the reputation of Chop Shop and its partners.
What did you say? I'm sorry.
Um, you're from the podcast aspect in our conversation, it sounds like you're one of your largest problems with people in the league is them calling out other drivers in the race chat. Is the primary reason strictly for the vision that it puts on the league itself and the partners?
Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, if we don't have the part, if we lose the partners because somebody does, that doesn't just affect the person that called out that called that out. And when I say call people out in Discord, I mean actually sit down and have the conversation in a voice chat with somebody. Don't go to general chat and call out a driver for a mistake they made, because I promise you, no matter how long you've been on the service, you've made the same mistake. I've made the same mistake. That was just like when I got on your ass about not holding your brake. I first joined iRacing in 2013 as a 14-year-old kid. No, that's not right. I was a 16 or 17-year-old. And I I made mistakes. I went through the official grind and learned. A lot of the people we have here now, they run some officials, but they didn't go through the grinder of officials. They found a league pretty quick after they got on iRacing, and that's just like Nate Bigger. Nate is a great driver, but Nate didn't really go through the official grind. I mean, Nate. I remember last season in the Cup Series was his first full year on iRacing, which is crazy to me because he's really good. But that's the difference, is because up until Chop Shop and a couple leagues before that, I would say about 6 months previous to me joining Chop Shop, I didn't even really know what a league was. I mean, I knew what a league was from other games, but in terms of iRacing leagues, I didn't know what it was. And like, like, if you want to have people that are going to be here to talk to 5 years from now, then the way I see it is sometimes you got to be honest and sometimes you got to be nice. My problem is I have a problem with the nice part. I don't have any problem with just being brutally honest with people because that's just how I was raised. But I I really truly try not something I have a I've had a problem in the past with. It's not as bad anymore. Is I would get wrecked by someone and I would get pissed off in the voice chat, and it wasn't just me and a couple other guys that I didn't really care. Because like John and Striker and you, like now the people that's in most of our races, like I'm not really gonna get pissed because there's enough people that aren't admins or aren't here for the day to day stuff and don't really know me. And that's probably where the villain persona comes from, is the way I act, the way I am when I am here, because I will bitch about stupid stuff and I'll admit it. But at the end of the day, I'm not that upset about it, because at the end of the day, I'm just here for fun. We all should be here for fun. We all want to win. Every single driver here either wants to win or wants to get good enough to win. But sometimes you just gotta sit back and be like, man, I had a 15th place. That's just like Auto Club in the trucks. Going back to that, going into that race, I figured I'd run about 15th or 20th. Because last year when we raced there in the trucks, I ran about 15th or 20th. It took me 40 laps to get to the front, and then when I got to the front, I wrecked with Nate. But that's a learning experience, because you gotta push yourself, and I think that's one of the problems is people won't push themselves. People will fight so hard for the position instead of letting it go. When you could let that person go and follow them for 20 laps, and you might learn more in 20 laps than what you've learned in 100 laps of practice there this week.
You know, I I've always said, and it was Stryker that really opened my eyes. I think we were at Kansas in the trucks, and I don't even think it was our league race. I think we were doing it with Signature, And I realized that my idea, I thought I was pushing incredibly hard, is what everybody's driving around is. And that really opened my eyes up to the point now I'm in a situation that I know I could be in top 10 almost in every race. And obviously I got to stay out of trouble to do that. So now I'm kind of backpedaling. I'm learning slow down, let the guys wreck out because they're going to. You get to a point when you're on the track, you know just by how somebody's driving coming off a corner if they're going to be an issue later on in the race as everything wears out. And I think tonight Kentucky's going to be prime example of it, 100%. With that being said, you tend to I've learned that for me certain drivers, whether it's for 15th position, 20th position, or even up in the top 10, that if I get around Striker, if I get around John, they are going to run me harder than they typically would just because of the trust aspect that's and it's just helping me is all it's doing. I mean, it's helping me develop as a driver. I mean, you are 50-50 half the time when I'm around you on the track. Sometimes you'll let me go, sometimes you'll run me hard. It just comes and goes type of thing depending on where we're at in the race. When you're in those situations, are you paying attention on who that particular driver is and making a split decision whether or not you're going to push harder or push less?
Yeah, I mean it just depends. If it's a guy that I know is probably going to take off and go really fast for 20-25 laps, I'll let him go. If it's a guy that I know can be there towards the end of the run, I'll run him a little harder than what I would everybody else.
All right. I want to kind of get away from the racing aspect a little bit and get more personal. Um, because you mentioned your dad being gone at an early age, and I know you and Jerry are good friends. Did he come to you when Sherry went? You know, because you're probably one of the only people that I know that's been through that situation, minus Jerry.
Um, I don't think Jerry really came to me. I more went to Jerry because I know what it feels like to to lose a parent.
Can you talk a little closer to your mic just
Yeah,
for me?
let me
Yeah,
fix
you're all
this.
right, but
Um, I think no, I didn't really go to Jerry. Jerry more came to me with um I went to him because I knew what it was like to lose a parent, and I know how tough that is on you as a person because you can really you have two choices: either you put up or shut up, or you give up and quit. Um, and the last couple of nights playing with Jerry, man, it's I've had a blast playing with him. Even though he won't revive me in Battlefield, it's been a blast playing with him. Um, but there's a few guys here that there's a few guys in shop that if they told me they needed a shirt on their back because something happened, I would willingly give them the shirt off my back. Um, and Jerry's one of those guys. Jerry's a good friend. I would like to think. Like I said, there's a few other guys that I think are like actually true friends because you know as I do. It's online gaming. Um, People are one person. Most people, for the most part, are one person when they got a headset on, and a completely different person when they ain't got a headset on. Um, I feel like the people that I'm close with, Jerry, Striker, John, you, Church. There's a couple other guys. Um, if actually needed help in real life, I know I would have someone to talk to. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like I could come to you guys and talk to, and that's me and my wife. We've had this conversation before about do you actually know that person? Like you're playing with them on. That's just like the guy that I've played Call of Duty with for the last 10 years. I've never met him in person. He lives in Michigan, but we talk. outside of just playing the game. Um, and it's great to have those relationships of those people that like they actually feel like a friend. They're not just a person that you met online and you don't really know anything about them. Um, those relationships are great, and that's one thing that I love about. There's a few things that I hate about like with where the world in a whole is going. Because when I was a kid, I mean, video games were a thing, but not as near as prevalent. I mean, there's 14-year-old kids making $500,000 a year by streaming on Twitch. When I was a kid, but you wasn't making near that much to do YouTube, Twitch, anything like that. Like though it's really transitioned to where the internet is a viable source of income, and that's just like John. Obviously, we would rather him be an athlete, but in real life. But if he wanted to pursue something in the video game world, I couldn't say it because I mean I've pursued things that I shouldn't have, and um, I'm just at the point of life where I'm happy with where my life is at. Um, Winning doesn't mean as much to me as it did before because I remember used to the NIS races. I won one. I think it was a Chicagoland race. NIS fixed like 5 years after my dad died, and I won it on the day of his death. And like I was so happy because that was like celebratory for him in my eyes. Because if it wasn't for my dad, I wouldn't be near the race fan I am. I mean, I don't watch NASCAR near as much as I used to, but like I still love it. Um, Still love the sport. I don't exactly like the direction they're going with some of that stuff either, but at the end of the day, I just want a place and that I can come and I can talk to my friends and hang out, even if something happened and I sold everything tomorrow in terms of being able to race, I would still be in Chop Shop. I mean, I would still update the website. I just wouldn't be able to race. And I would love to be able to say like I'd be perfectly okay with that, but I would miss it like crazy at this point because the the itch to race isn't like it was where I want to race every single race, but the races I'm able, I like, and that's just like the um hold on, brain fart.
It happens.
What was I even talking about, Ron?
The races that you're able to race, it's not like
Oh yeah, I know where I was going with this. So the truck series schedule, it was built around my work schedule so I could run every race. Um, but we got into the season and I just wasn't able to make it because for me, like I said earlier, with me working the schedule that I do, I don't like putting it on my wife on my days off to be responsible for him if he's not in bed. Like most of the races I get to run, the reason I get to run them is because we've got him in bed by the time the race starts. That's just like the Cup Series. I would love to be able to run every race, and that schedule is built around my schedule now. And the Truck Series is transitioned to John's schedule. Um, and I made Daytona. I miss Pocono. I wrecked myself at Iowa because lack of talent. And then this week I'm going to miss. And honestly, I told somebody yesterday, I was like, every time I feel like I got a really good car going into a race or the races I never get to run. Because that Vegas race last year for the championship, I think I had as good of a car, if not a better car, than what Stryker did going in. Because what Stryker had, he got from me. Um, and then tonight, I mean, I think Stryker will be pretty strong. I know Nate will be pretty strong. Kobe will be fast, but the races for me aren't just. I don't get. I mean, it's this simple. I don't get to show up and race every week, but when I do get to show up, I want to be able to perform good and show people that, hey, you just got beat by a part timer. How do you feel?
Well, and I mean, like you said, as the kid gets older, and you doesn't, once you get like a, because John's he's going to sleep when he wants to sleep, as he is right now. As my 3 year old, almost 3 year old, we tell him to go to bed. He actually goes and lays down. He might get up in the middle of the night, go lay in our bed type of thing. It happens. But for the most part, you start ganging a schedule with him.
Mm,
And it takes time. It'll get there. I think everybody will start seeing more of you, as time develops, and as the baby develops. You said, see, I'm stuck between a wall and a hard place here because I agree with you and I don't agree with you all at the exact same time when it comes to looking at the sim racing in Chop Shop as just a game. A lot of people say that, Striker especially, and this is where I always have the issue is because I have a lot of actual money wrapped up into this place. You have a lot of money wrapped up into this place. It's not just time. Time is a voluntary thing.
mm,
Actual money, like I'm actually going to work. You're actually going to work, and we're actually giving our money to the league to help better it because this shit is not it's not cheap in any way, shape, or form. So I look at it as I value it as a business to a point because I have actual money invested into it. So I take it probably as seriously as you do in most aspects versus in the nonchalant of things of just saying, oh man, it's just a game, we're here to have fun. We are here to have fun, no question about it. That's the whole point. But at the end of the day, if I see it's going downhill, I won't say something because I don't want it to because I've invested into it. That's probably my biggest rant when people. I'm sure it comes off the way I'm putting it out, but they don't mean it like that. But that's
mm,
just how when you say what you mean what you say type of thing. You know
mm,
what I mean? Um. Anyways, with all that being said, and I wanted to touch base because you were talking about meeting people in the gaming world and viewing them as actual friends. Do you think I'm not a social person outside of this? I hate everybody equally. I'm just a grumpy old bastard. I don't. My wife, she'll go out to church. She'll meet new people. She's like, "Oh yeah, I met this person. The kids are going to, we rarely get a night out, So when we get a chance to get a sitter, she's always the person that sets it up. And I'm like, who the hell are these people, And she meets all these people and becomes friends with them. I'm not like that. All my friends are on here, and I have no doubt about it. If I were to call you, John, Straker, I'm sure there's others, but I'm gonna say the top three, and I'm like, hey man, my water bill's due and I need $100. Is there any way you could help me out? I have no doubt in my mind all three of you'd be like, yeah, man, I'll just tell me where to send it. I got you. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. That's the camaraderie that I value the most and that I want to see grow. How do we sustain that? How do we as a group keep that going to the point to where it's more than just a game. It's a community. It's friendships. It's shit that we can. We were trying to get everybody out to Bristol if they wanted to and get an Airbnb type of thing. How do we make that more of the norm?
um, I think firstly and foremost, I think what you said about the business aspect of this, I think I look at it as a business too. I mean, I look at it as my second job basically, like behind my actual family and my honestly, except for the days that I work where I don't have a choice in it, like my pecking order is obviously family, God, family, and then chop shop when I don't have to work. Um, a lot of it is just people hopping in here and hanging out. That's just like last night. I hopped in here. We were in here for 5 or 6 hours last night, just hanging out, playing different games. But the, I think the key to making it more like doing things like what you said about like trying to get everybody together who wanted to go and go to Bristol or go to this race or that race. I think it's more about trying to sustain it as a business. The hard part here is trying to make it a profitable business because people have no idea how much it costs to run one series for a season.
And we get discounts.
Yeah, and that's a discounted price. I think so. I'll just throw a number out there for for a series for a broadcaster and everything.
Rem-
You're looking,
Remember, don't throw out actual numbers.
yeah, I know,
We don't want to hurt anybody's business model, obviously.
yeah,
Loyal, listen, people, me saying that isn't discarding anybody from anything. It's a loyalty thing at this point. If you were to buy the same car from the same dealership year in and year out, that dealership's eventually going to start throwing you bones to where it's like, yeah, a normal person, you're going to spend $30,000 for this car. But for you, since you've bought 50 cars from us, we're going to start giving you a discount rate. I just want to put that out as a disclosure before you continue saying what you're saying, because I don't want to ruffle any feathers in that aspect.
no, I mean I'm not trying to ruffle any feathers by any means. I think all our, signature esports Jason, he does a fantastic job. He's a great partner. So glad to have him and to be able to sustain having him for the year and a half that I've been here. I always enjoy Jason's broadcast when I get to watch it. I even watch him broadcast other things, and it's been cool to see you and old Churchy step up and start broadcasting for Chop Shop. That was a vision that John and Stryker had, and that was a great decision there. I love just watching the guys that you get to talk to every day broadcast for the league that you are a part of. But on the price aspect, but no one they the money's just a thing. It's literally that simple. We all make it, but there's a lot of money that goes into this when the only benefit that any of us get out of it is the racing. Because we're not nobody makes a profit. That's where the sustainable business comes in. Is to make it sustainable to where even if we don't make any money, we're breaking even. Like that's the ultimate goal for all that. I wouldn't even say that's the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to just build a great community and to have everybody look at it as that's my boy. I don't care if it's the guy who you hate the most on the racetrack. He's still your boy outside of being on the racetrack. Because the thing is you don't most. I'm sure people don't think about it this way. On the racetrack, you're a completely different person than what you are sitting here having a conversation off the racetrack. It's kind of like they talk about in real life. I've heard this multiple times. Everybody says Joey Logano is a super nice guy outside of the race car. I've never really cared for Joey just because his personality is just yeah. Anyway, but when he puts that helmet on, he drives like a pissed off teenager,
Yeah.
but he's successful, and that's the way I look at everybody, whether it's you or John or anybody. Like, I mean, you can sit here and have a conversation about what we're going to do in the race, but we get to racing each other in the race, and we're liable to be screaming at each other after we wreck
Right.
because heat of the moment. That's why the 24-hour, like I said earlier, the 24-hour cooldown period's in effect. So you don't say or do something that you're going to regret 24 hours from now.
Yeah, because I mean, I think basing it off of like community and actual friendships, if you wouldn't say it to somebody that you know face to face, don't say it to somebody over the mic, because I have met a lot of people online that I would consider better friends than I actually have. Obviously, you always have one or two best friends that's going to be there for you, thick and thin, blah blah
Mhm.
blah. But you can also gang that, in a racing league. As weird as that sounds, not to get all mushy mushy about it, but I think that's also another. I don't think women, and I'm talking wives in general, understand that
Mm-mm.
because men aren't as outgoing as a woman is.
Mm-mm.
We don't have men don't have women just coming up to them saying, "Oh, hey, hi, you're
Mm-mm.
so pretty," blah blah blah. And that's how women are. They deal with it their entire lives, man. So that's they think that's what men go through, and it's polar opposite, 100%. So why not let your loved one or spouse or whomever get on there and do something that that person enjoys doing with other people that enjoy that same shit, versus I can't just go out to my workplace and be like, hey, man, do you iRace? No? Okay, we can't be friends. Do you iRace? No. You got to have something in common, obviously. And this is the best avenue for a man to find that. Um,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'm like you. I don't really care for people except for, I mean, real life. Like I don't care about my wife. Is very My wife sounds like your wife. She's very outgoing. My wife wants to always be doing something. She wants to go to the beach or do this or do that. Like we'll take a vacation and go to the beach. I'm like I could have just as much fun sitting at home getting around all the races in the league this week. But for her, that's not her. And I think all women are like that. But I just I want everybody that comes into Chop Shop and that is in Chop Shop to have fun. If you like me, if you don't like me, if you don't like me, sorry for whatever reason you don't like me. Um, I just want everybody to have fun and race respectful and just I want it to. I'm like you. I want this whole community and everybody in here. If someone needs help, if somebody, I don't care who it is, if somebody's house burnt down, I want this community to be able to be strong enough to come around that person and to support that person in any way possible. That's
100%.
that I think, and I think that's the goal. Is like I think it started as just an iRacing league, but now I think it's a lot more than that. And the I mean it's crazy the growth that Chop Shop has had. It was crazy to me the growth Chop Shop had from before he was born last year to now. Because I mean we would have 25, 30 trucks in the truck series. Now we're racing an auto club with 37 trucks. I never like that's crazy to me. All the guys that do recruiting, Striker I know does some recruiting, and there's some other guys that do recruiting here. Kudos to you because you're a lot better than me because I can't. In all actuality, I am a very I I mean I don't know when I first meet someone I'm a very quiet person. Like very quiet person. Like I'm not going to say much. Like I feel you out, and then once feel like I'm comfortable with you, I will start to talk more. But Chop Shop, I'm not really like that because I know I have a responsibility to everyone in here. Because of the stars behind my name, beside my name. Um, Even though they don't mean anything to me, they're still there. And for me, that means I have to be better than the average Joe. Even if I am even if I am looked at as a villain, at the end of the day, I'm not really a villain. I would, if anything, I'm a lot nicer than what I should be to a lot of people.
Well, and I mean, yeah, you are. I think with this podcast too, I think you're a prime example of. Let's just say there was an accident and it was a 50-50 split and you're going to be the deciding factor. Regardless if you hate that individual, if he's innocent, you're going to be like, he didn't do it. It's not on him. It's on this other guy. These are the reasons why. and move forward. And no one's ever going to tell that other person that Odell A was the deciding factor, B ruled in your favor, regardless if you think he hates.
Jesus Christ.
You got shirts in the mailbox.
Yeah, so my wife, she does the cricket. She's got a cricket, and she makes
Yeah,
shirts and cups and all kinds of stuff. I don't know who
I
she
hate
met.
that weeding process, man.
Actually, I don't mind weeding. I helped her a couple of times do the weeding, and it was kind of fun actually.
I just it's too tedious, especially if you cut like some crazy ass design that has a bunch of little holes in it. Oh, dude, it just irritates hell out of me. I
Yeah.
bought my wife one. We just don't use it as much as we used to. I'm lazy too. Like I rather just pay somebody to make my shit.
Well, my wife before John was born, like she was doing it all the time, but now since he's been born, she hasn't done. She actually, the funny thing is so she had two heat presses at one time, and she sold one of them because she was like, I'm not gonna have time for this. And now that he's gotten a little older, she's getting where she does a little bit more in it.
Yeah, I
Uh,
bought the big one, and I think it's still at work because I mean, we got three boys running around, and we don't seem to ever have time for it. It seems like, or the
yeah,
space.
yeah, I'm sure.
Um, what the hell were we talking about?
No fucking clue. Because I was trying to answer the phone and listen to you.
I know. Whatever. It is what it is. Strike. Hey, Striker, enjoy all this.
Yeah, you're gonna have a fun time today, buddy.
Fucking Mexican prick. Um,
Y'all got it.
uh, oh, we were talking about you being quiet in Discord, trying to feel people out. Um, which it's funny because I have a strong personality myself, which I think is why I'm good at the things that I do. And you obviously have a strong personality. It's almost like an alpha and omega kind of
Mm,
complex. There's a lot of alphas and not a ton of omegas.
mm,
And you know, when two of them butt heads, they're going to butt heads.
mm-hmm.
And it's just who can get over it and move forward and let the politics just kind of dwindle out, because I mean that's what a lot of our job is as admins, is the politics behind it, what people don't understand. Like you said, there's so much that goes into this. Like I've been up with John for hours and hours and hours talking about stupid rules. At the end of the day, I don't give a fuck. I don't care. But I do at the same time, because they play the most critical role in how all of this is done during race time. So I have to care, even though I don't want to. Um, so for somebody like you to give the insight, like you have to lead by example, regardless if you want to or not. That's the position that you have. And if you didn't want that position, just like anybody else, you could relinquish it. We prefer not, obviously, because you play such a critical role. But if you needed that time to whatever, then you know that option's always there. Which I don't think that's ever going to come to a halt at all. um, with all that being said, and working the whole home life thing and moving forward, how are you going to continue to balance the two families, so to speak?
That's it's a very narrow road. It's tough because obviously I want to race. I mean, it's something that I enjoy, but at the end of the day, like I wasn't I wasn't put on this earth to just be a guy who is in Discord all the time and running all the races. I feel like I was put on the earth for a bigger purpose than that, and that's John and my wife and my family, and they deserve more time than Chop Shop does at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, if tomorrow Chop Shop was gone, would I miss it? Of course, but it's not going to kill me for it to be gone. Where, oh God, I just set you up.
You did. Here's my question. let's say Chop Shop disappeared tomorrow. Do you think there'd be enough people to rally to start something new involving as many of the same people as possible? And if so, would you be a part of it?
Absolutely. If something happened, if I don't see it coming to this, but if tomorrow Stryker and John both had an admin meeting and said we want out, we both want out, we're having this issue, there would be a new regime that took over. It the Chop Shop name, I don't think it will ever go anywhere because I think even if Stryker and or John wanted out, I don't think they would be like, you got to change the name of the league. It can't be Chop Shop. Blah 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 blah. This is because I mean at the end of the day, it doesn't have a copyright. It's theirs, but I think the people under them they trust enough. If something happened and they couldn't do it, there's at least two other people in line that they would want to step up to do it.
You know, it's it's funny that you said that, and obviously, I want to put some clarity on there because I've had these conversations with John and Stryker that and they both said the same exact thing. If something were to happen, even if one of them were to drop out or both, they wouldn't close the doors. They wouldn't. They would appoint new people to run it,
Mm-hmm.
and it would do its thing. However, I think with that being said, let's just say for argument's sake, something catastrophic happened to John Northstriker, and they had to be gone for a year, 2 years, whatever, and they stepped down from that role of active. I want to say this carefully: active ownership, and say they appoint you in that position or me or whomever,
Mm-hmm.
that they know for a fact, without a shadow of a doubt, when they come back, that position is still theirs.
Mm-hmm.
They're still the originating founder. They're not going to knock down the guy that's been
Mm-hmm.
running it for them the whole time. They're going to still be a part of it there, but it's still going to process. So for anybody watching, if you ever have any notion or idea or worry that Chop Shop were to close, it's not going to ever. It's just not going to. There's too many good people behind the scenes doing the stuff that they're doing that would step up in a second to make sure that it doesn't. And I think John and Stryker are maybe not as much John, but more Stryker, because John does a lot of the stuff nobody wants to do. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he is a big unsung hero. He does a lot of the shit that no one has zero ambition on doing. And Stryker runs a lot of the day to day personnel stuff. Um, I forgot where I was going with this, to be honest with you. With any of that being said, obviously they have people that I feel like they're grooming to be up there and either A, take over, or B, run along the side, both of them. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think I don't think there's a limit to if you're into the day-to-day routine, how stuff operates, stuff like you and I do,
Mm-hmm.
then there's room for growth, like always. We promote within type of thing. They're not just going to let some outsider. I was a different. I feel very fortunate for coming in and being where I'm at. Obviously, I kind of jumped leaps and bounds, but I also was vouched for by a member of
Mm-hmm.
Chop Shop, so my situation was slightly different. But at any given time, you you could have went to Striker and John and been like, I don't want him in that position, move him. And they
Mm-hmm.
would have definitely had a serious conversation about doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm fortunate enough that I got on your good side, I guess, as because your opinions.
It didn't start. If I'm honest, my opinion of you has really grown since I've been gone. I've been here, but I've not been as active. Because when you first joined, like you said, when we first started this thing, is you bought your way to where you are now. And me and John and Striker, we all had conversations about this guy's buying his way to power, where everybody else had to work their way to where they are. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that wasn't, and at that time I was like, and it's sort of like, it's the way I viewed it as is when you first join is what is your plan here? Because most people aren't just going to join a league and just throw money at it. Everybody has something they're wanting. And when you first join, I was like, this guy's up to something, but I don't know what it is.
Right.
But I guess I was around for 2 or 3 months after you showed up, until John was born, and then I was away for a while. Um, but I've really seen you've really stepped up, and you're doing a lot to help the league. Thank you for that. We appreciate what you do here. Do and there's so many people who have stepped up, um like I said, the two ones that really come to mind are you and Church. Honestly, I feel like since I've been away, you've sort of stepped up into the shoes that I was filling at that point before I left. um which is awesome. I'm glad someone at least partially stepped up. You've took on new ventures like the podcast and the broadcasting. That's ventures that, like broadcasting for me, like I might occasionally hop in the booth with somebody and do a race or two here and there, special guest, blah blah blah. But it's not something that I'm like, oh, I want to broadcast or I want to do a podcast. Like I hate public speaking. Like if this was in public and we were standing in front of 50 people right now, there ain't no fucking way I'd be doing this. And that's coming from a guy. I really don't care what people think. I just don't like being up in front of people.
Right.
And I really didn't want to do the podcast, but you guys kept freaking agitating me about it, so finally I gave in. Um, I love uh, like I was saying, you've really stepped up and done a lot. Um, we're all I know John and Stryker are grateful for that, because I remember getting messages from Stryker about a month after John was born. I wasn't hardly in here, and he was like, "We miss you." Blah 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 blah. Really needs the help right now. And I mean, I still would still get those occasionally, even afterwards. But now I really feel like if something happened and I had to be gone for another month again, I know I don't have to worry about anything, because you or someone, Striker, could step up and do what I'm doing, because I've stepped back from what I was doing. I think eventually I might get back to the point to where I was before, of doing the things that I was doing. But right now I'm just doing whatever I'm asked to do. I'm trying to do the things that I think I could do to help the league grow and succeed. Um, I'm happy that Chop Shop has grown the way it has. I'm glad the people that have stepped up have. Wretchen has Wretchen as the unsung hero that nobody I really even think knows is an admin, because I don't know if people look at the chat on Discord, but he's a 3 star too, just like I am, and he does so much and he never gets credit for anything.
Right.
He does it because he sends stuff to you and you post it. It's not Wretchen posting it. And if he does post it, it's posted in a channel that only admins have access to.
Yep.
So nobody knows that is going on but the admins. Um, Striker, obviously, Striker does do a lot, but he's still the delegator. John just John literally does the stuff that nobody else either A doesn't want to do or B doesn't have the time to do. And I know with his schedule it's hard to make time to do these things, but somehow he does it anyway. And some of the newer admins, you're a newer admin. Church is a newer admin. Church is taking on some points and making more. He's running the dirt series himself.
Yep.
Quite literally. I mean, the dirt series is his baby. Rayburn, love Rayburn. Wish he would was around more than what he is. And Jerry's here for most of the day to day stuff. I don't think I missed any more admins. Um, I just wish sometimes I wish people actually got to see what goes on behind the scenes because it's not just races 8:30 tonight, 150 laps at Kentucky. There's a lot more that goes into it because we're not just like Striker, for example. Striker runs every series we got, all five. How do you think he practices for all five? He doesn't. A lot of the drivers, they just pick a series and get to focus on that one series, and that's the only series they have to practice for,
Yep.
which is awesome. But I just want it to grow, man. I want this thing to keep growing and keep succeeding, and this thing to be a business that 5 years from now maybe is profitable.
And I mean, I think the ultimate goal there to make it profitable is to attract um, bigger sponsors that put in more of the pie. Um, and with you saying, you know, that we do have admins that I would say don't do a lot of the day to day stuff. I don't want to take anything away from Richard because I love the guy and he does so much, and you don't even have to ask him for stuff, and he still does stuff. Um, but the day to day stuff, he's just a fly on the wall, and if you need his opinion, he'll give it to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the position he likes to play. Rayburn, I would say, is the same way, um, minus doing the graphics work, but Rayburn knows a ton about setups. If you need to know anything about a setup, he is hands down the guy to go to.
Mm-hmm.
He'll tell you anything on the fly. And again, he'll voice his opinion when it's needed, and he knows when to chime in, when not to. I would say you, me, Church, Striker, and John are probably the day to day crew. I guess is the best way to put it, for the most part. And just so everybody knows that our members of Chop Shop, every decision made here has been ran through not one, not two, but multiple people. Especially if you have an idea and you bring it to Striker's attention. If Striker doesn't know which way that decision is going to be swayed, he's going to run it by John. He's going to run it by Mark. He's going to run it by me. He's going to run it by Odell. He's going or Retchen. He's going to run it by everybody. And then you and I have had different opinion. We had a huge different opinion when it come to Corey RCN.
Mm-hmm.
We were on the same page, but at the end of the day, what however the admins voted, it's how the admins voted, and if you were on the wrong side of that, you were on the wrong side of it. It is what it is. It's
Mm-hmm.
a community decision. It's not just one person trumping the other. So anybody watching, if there's a decision that you're not a fan of, or a direction that you're not a fan of how this place is going, or or has gone or is going, that just know it wasn't just John saying this is what's going to happen, and it wasn't just Striker saying this is what's going to happen. Those two don't do that. They get everybody's opinion, and it's a group effort. It always is. If we're going to succeed together, we're going to succeed together. If we're going to fail, we're going to fail together. And that's just the best way I could put it in there. And you were talking about your first impressions of me, coming in. I'll tell you right out of the gate, I could not stand Jerry when I first joined. I didn't like him in any way, shape, or form. But I consider him a very, very close friend now, over getting to know him. And I'm glad I didn't just judge a book by its cover, just off of first instinct. And Jerry told me the same thing. He hated my ass when I first joined, but we're really good friends now. Just like that, I want to push that because Lucas might not be a fan of you. He might be. I don't know. I can't speak for him, but the conversations that I've heard go both ways. It seems like, to an outside view, that you guys don't like each other, and that may not be the case. Obviously, it isn't for you. You said it right here and there. We don't know how he feels, but in the same instance, if you're watching this, Lucas, that don't, just because you've had a disagreement, or the conversation didn't go as planned, don't judge a relationship based off that because Odell's a good dude. He's a pain in the ass, but he's a good dude.
Yeah, I still mute you, Lucas.
He'll listen. Even he'd mute me if I gave him the reason to. Yeah, I mean, have you ever muted Striker yet? Because there's times I want to mute him because he don't ever shut up singing songs and
No,
shit.
yeah, I've not server muted him like I do you, Lucas. I muted him so like nobody can fucking hear him. He could go to
You,
any put on the Discord. Nobody's gonna hear what he's saying.
you, you know there was a night where me and Striker kept tossing Lucas back and forth in between the channels because neither one of them wanted us in there. It was hilarious, but I mean it was all fun and games. Um,
No,
dude, I
there's nobody in here that I just don't straight up don't like. That's the thing is I feel like people. I guess because I come off as an asshole, I don't like you. That's not the fact. If I don't give you shit, I don't like you.
yeah,
That's just who I am. If I give you shit, I probably like you at least a little bit. And Luke, I really don't have a problem at all with Lucas. He just blabbers too much is my only issue, and I just mute him so I don't have to hear it.
it's a maturity thing. I mean I mean down to the brass taxes. It's a maturity thing.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
I know you're a busy guy. You got the kiddo. He's sleeping. You probably want to put him down in his bed so you don't have to hold on to him all day. Obviously at the end of every series, we gotta give a shout out to our sponsor, C2 Gaming, My Three Sons Track Racer, the Ballastas Boys, Speedy Trophies, Admin Box, Geomax, Virtual Velocity Racing, MCI Graphics, Stay Tuned Sports. They're new with us. We appreciate them coming on board. Signature Esports, as always, brother. Thank you. Love the shirt. It's awesome. I wish you would make me a free. Hey man, I got to try when I can, right? A free hoodie with the eagle, my eagle logo, man. I think that'd be a sweet hoodie, like a gray one. You don't like my logo, the eagle one. Come on, bro. Um, I'm gonna leave it to you. Let you close us out. Give your thanks. Anybody you want to thank along the way, the journey, where we're going, all that fun jazz.
Obviously all the admins, all the drivers. Big shout out to all the drivers. Y'all, thank y'all for showing up and making Chop Shop what it is. Thanks to John and Stryker for giving me the opportunity that I have here. Thanks to my wife, baby boy, that's gonna jerk my headset cable out. Um, just everybody keep doing what you're doing. In this place, I got at least 10 years left in me, so Chop Shop ain't going anywhere for at least 10 years. And at that point, somebody else will be ready to step up and do what I'm doing now, hopefully. So this place, Chop Shop's going places. Just it's a work in progress.
Absolutely. All right, Mark, man, I appreciate you doing it finally. I know it's hard working around your schedule, so I really do appreciate you making the time to actually make it happen. I know you're going to have a lot of views. I know a lot of people are going to want to hear what you have to say, even though you don't think they might. We'll see it in the comments, I'm sure. That's it for this podcast, everybody. Again, Mark Odell. If you have questions, don't be scared to ask him. Just because you might not like the answer he gives you, he's going to shoot you straight. We're going to sign off, and we'll see you on the next episode of Chopping It Up.